And I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Is it 21 we're up to, or 20? That's over. No, 21. Okay. So we'll start with a meditation. So I invite everybody to just close your eyes, get comfortable. I will just ask you all to mute yourselves. If not, I cannot be able to mute you.
I've got to just get that print that thing for her. That Medicare form, so she can get an exemption with her doctor.
There we go. Oh, banner. That's it, everyone's muted. Okay. Okay, so put both hands over your lower abdomen and massage your lower abdomen. Feel your body. And as you do that, just be aware of the breath, the in breath and the out breath. And breathe into your lower abdomen. Breathe into where you are massaging. And make your breaths long, slow, deep, regular breaths through the nose. You might be able to hear the rain. It's just started raining here. It's beautiful. So I'm just going to see if I can see you guys. I can't see it on my screen, that's okay. And just allow that simple practice, just to stay with the breath and massage your tummy, your lower abdomen. Because our hands emit energy. And we are so disconnected from our bodies. It's incredible. Just massage and feel your body. If you feel like you want to go more over your liver, that's fine. And just feel everything getting energy moving through your digestive system, your reproductive system, all your systems. And with the breath, even though it's slow and it's relaxed, now that we're getting energy moving in the lower abdomen, feel like, feel the blood flowing in easily enough and feel it moving out. Let it circulate, okay? If we look at a pond, when water's not flowing, it gets stagnant, okay? So when we look at our digestive system, our lower abdomen, if we're not moving, it's not good, it causes stagnation. So there's so many different practices we can use to get fluid moving around the body. But it's very important. And love your lower abdomen. Okay, so we're working on a physical level here. We're touching the physical body. But feel it generate heat, which is energy. But then we add an intention. So we give love to our organs and our systems. We thank our body for all the selfless work it does for our life. And we can use mind power, see light coming in through our skin with every inhale. Going in through the nose and in through the skin. We breathe through the skin. Light penetrates into the body and nourishes our lower abdomen, our lower dantian. Key energy center for longevity, to boost energy, stamina, vitality, and immunity. We invoke soul power. You might feel your body temperature increase. I'm getting very warm doing this. That's a good thing. So, dear divine, dear Tao, all layers of divine and Tao, dear the source. If you have a physical teacher, you can name them, call them. The Shifus, our spiritual teachers, our spiritual teams, guides. Dear Yuanling. Yuanling is all enlightened souls everywhere, from all traditions. All committees linked to the 10 Das, to love, peace, harmony. We love, honor, and appreciate you. Dear all of our ancestors, please be present. We love, honor, and appreciate you. Please forgive us. We forgive all beings. Keep massaging the stomach, the tummy, breathing into there. We forgive Wanling. Yuanling is all enlightened souls, but Wanling, W-A-N, Wanling is all beings everywhere, all souls everywhere. So dear Wanling, we forgive you. Offer unconditional forgiveness to all souls. Dear Wanling, please forgive us, meaning me and my ancestors. Please forgive us for our mistakes. We love, honor, and appreciate you. Dear Wanling, please forgive each other. We are calling all beings to love and forgive each other. It's a powerful intention. It's a powerful message to put into the field. Bring universal love, peace, and harmony. This is a huge prayer, a huge blessing. Now stop massaging and put both hands over each other and just under your navel. Simply rubbing your lower abdomen is a yang practice. It's moving, it's getting energy moving. When we stop, we move to a yin practice. And we can feel everything again. There's a vibration there now. And the stillness is actually deeper. My teacher says, moving practice is the fastest way to stillness. There's massive wisdom in that. So just keep breathing through the nose, into the lower abdomen, still receiving light from universal light, from all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that we've called, Tao, Jesus, all of us, the spiritual fathers and mothers. Tien, which is heaven, Di, which is Mother Earth, Ren, which is all humanity, countless planets, stars, galaxies, and universes, and all of the 10 Da calligraphies. Yeah, everyone on this Zoom call, I call you into this Tao Chant. May this Tao Chant please bless you all as appropriate, okay? So feel that, feel the energy of unconditional, greatest light, gratitude, humility, love, service, forgiveness, enlightenment, compassion, flourishing, okay, and harmony. This week's condition is service. It's the 5th chakra, the throat chakra. We'll do a practice on at the end for that. But disasters come from our speech. So many people I've met in their adult life still believe things that their parents may have told them when they were a kid, or their teachers may have told them when they were a kid. They imprinted a negative message onto them at a young age, and it's affected their whole life. This is the power of our speech. At the same time, I've met people who've had words of love, care, compassion at a young age, and it's always empowered them through their life. So very careful with our speech. This is why this center is Da Fu, greatest service. Just seeing if I can see you guys. I don't know how I did this last time, sorry. I did it so I can see you guys more. There you go. There you go. I can see you guys now. Okay, I'm going to read chapter 21. Just let the message move through you, okay? If you have any questions, you can ask questions after. The master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. Does anybody want to ask any questions or share any insights into that before I go on? I'm just seeing who's on the line. At any point, if anyone wants to interrupt and just ask a question, please do, okay? This is an open session. So the master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. Remember, in this image, there is the world of form that we see. The yo world, the world of existence, of things. And then there's the world that we don't see, the Wu world, the emptiness world. The world of form cannot exist without the emptiness world, okay? And we get stuck here, we get attached to bills, drama, news, and we miss that there is a field, a unified field that gives life to everything. So, the master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That's what gives her radiance. Rather than being pulled left and right into drama, which is draining energy, okay? Her mind is always at one with the Tao, with the source. And that's what gives her radiance. Okay, she's detached. She's not worried. She's not afraid, or he's not afraid. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. We live down here. We cannot deny that. We live in the world of form. But how can you, if this is ungraspable, how can you be at one with it? By detaching from the world. Now, This is a tricky one when you're starting out, because a lot of people attach to detaching from everything. And that's another attachment. So we be patient. The more somebody before, a few of you guys came on the line, I asked how everyone was going, and Cheryl said, I don't know if she said it exactly, but it's basically, the more I meditate, the easier life is. Okay, she nailed it. Basically, the more you meditate, the more you can step out of this, your world, acknowledge that we live here, and that's fine, but we step out of the drama and we align with stillness, with universal silence. And it gives her radiance. She doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. This is beautiful, because to my understanding, there's many layers to this. You guys might have an insight that, you know, blows my head off. I hope you do. And I've had many layers of understanding on this, but because she lets it is a state of surrender. She doesn't cling to even the idea that the Tao is going to make her radiant. Okay, she doesn't even cling to that. She's free of clinging, but at the same time open, and completely at one with the Tao. She's surrendered. You look at even if you look at Jesus, okay, Jesus in the time of his death, which was a terrible death, but there was a surrender there. He brought a divinity to one of the darkest events in human history, an enlightened being getting tortured. So there was love there, there was forgiveness and compassion there, there was light there, surrender there. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. Okay, so in there, let's see if we can go to this. In there, below this line here, this line, below that is the world of form, of duality. And the Buddha said, all things are impermanent. So even below this line, heaven is below this line. The spiritual world is below this line. It's a part of the manifested world. Then you have Mother Earth and human beings and the countless things. So this is all impermanent, which means everything here doesn't last forever. Reincarnation is a universal law. Even time, my teacher says, reincarnates. But what my teachers added to this, which gave me huge insight, is that anything below this line, even heaven, even the sun, the moon, earth is impermanent, but the Tao is permanent. It is outside of time, space. It is the creator of that, okay? And this is why the Buddha taught not to reach, not to aim to reach higher levels, because even in the spiritual realms, so if you look here at the bottom, humanity, if we serve well, we can become Renshen. A Renshen is a human saint, okay? A high-level enlightened being. If we keep purifying our karma and serving, we can become a Deshen, which is a Mother Earth saint, which means our Shenchijing, our essence, is aligned with Mother Earth's. So, for example, you might see or hear of sages in the past that can maybe stop natural disasters, okay? This is because they have purified their being, their Shenchijing, to be a Mother Earth saint, okay? If you continue to purify, you can become a Tianshan. Tianshan is a heaven saint, okay? And the highest saints is when you meld with Tao. It's a Tao saint. So the Buddha said, even in the higher levels of heaven, there is layers where you can feel like you're a god and burn through your virtue over eons and then actually fall down to a lower soul standard. And Master Sha, my teacher, he says, in this world, it's like the stock market. You might gain a lot of virtue, get a high position as a country leader, and then send millions of people to war. You may drop right down. You might work your way back up, drop back down. So in the Taoist tradition, they talk about reaching Tao, melding with Tao. You are outside of yin-yang existence, okay? You are outside of karma. And in the Buddha's language, he said, reach nirvana. Nirvana is, to my understanding, the same as the Tao. It is beyond this world of impermanence. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. This is beautiful again, because even though this image shows a person looking outward and seeing that there is a world of form, and also being aware that there's a unified field, my teacher spent 3 years in what's called Biguan. Okay, Biguan is to close all your gates and you go into silence. Okay, so he did like he would do 3 6-month stints in silence, and then he would maybe come out for like 3 weeks and he'd share what his insights, and he'd go back into silence. So basically, look inside myself and see is, in the Taoist tradition and Buddhism and all the great traditions, they realized that we are a reflection, a manifestation, a fraction, a fractal of the whole. So if you want to know the answers to the world, you go inward. There's actually a teacher that Master Sha has been talking about lately. I think he's Chinese. Master Sha said, I really like listening to his teachings. He doesn't go on any technology. He doesn't read any news. He doesn't get information from anywhere outside of himself. He just sits in silence all day and gains all the insights that he needs. And when he does share what he has, he says his profound insights. So if you look at this, what is most of the world doing right now? They are focusing here to try and get the answers. And all we are getting is other people's programming. So this is why the sage is detached from all that and looks inside to know all the answers. Does anyone want to ask any questions or share anything on that chapter?
Yes, hello everyone. Hello, how are you, Nick?
Hello, Silvana.
Hello. Just going back, all the information you've given is just beautiful. Thank you. And just when you were talking in the beginning, when you were saying about the meditations and you were just giving the trying to understand how we're part of the Tao, or how to connect with the Tao, it always brings me back to the beautiful proverb of be in the world, and sorry, be part of the world but not be in the world. Okay, I might have got that wrong the way that I'm saying it, but it is biblical. So in a way, when you said, like, because we are in that physical realm, and you talk about the being detached, so it's being in the world but not part of the world, so living in the 3D reality, but having that detachment, like the spiritual self is more connected to source, to Tao. So it always brings me back to that, and for some reason I'm probably not saying it properly, but it's funny because I heard that 3 times today. I'm thinking, wow. Yeah, so yeah, just thought I'd share that.
No, thank you. And it's good, I think a lot of people can misunderstand the idea of detachment. I used to always say in my meditation groups, I used to always say, we have to just like practice detaching. And then when I was meditating, I got an insight that I felt that some people might have felt like by detaching, you're actually having to let go of something, which you are, but I could feel some type of resistance sometimes in the meditation group whenever I talk about that, because obviously people have got family and things like that, and they obviously don't want to detach from their kids, which is fair enough. But another way I've heard Buddhists share the same teaching is let it be. And when I shared that, it felt a lot lighter for people to grasp, is to allow things to be without interfering and without attaching to them. It's like we had like a family conversation, me, my wife and son the other day. We were talking about how detrimental exaggeration is. In Buddhist tradition, they use the moon's reflection on water. When the water is completely still, it reflects perfectly back the reflection of the moon. But when it's distorted, it distorts the reflection. Okay, so if you think about if just say we want something and someone gets in the way of that, even if it's only small, we might exaggerate what they've done, and it distorts actual reality. And everybody then might keep exaggerating it, and it becomes a far bigger, and people might start hating that person. You get me? This is why on the other side as well, you might exaggerate something that you want. So again, it's still a distortion, it's still a lie, and it still creates a lot of suffering. So exaggeration this is why we should be still. Meditation makes things easier. We don't exaggerate things. We reflect the truth of how we experienced and how we saw things. And we also act as a mirror for other people then. Other people who are around us are not getting pulled into drama, because we are able to just be still be pleasant, but just not exaggerating anything. And just a touch quick one, it came up when you were talking, and it came to my awareness about living in the world. There's a story of when the Buddha was enlightened, he went back to see his father, and his father thought he was dead, and there was a battle going on between his father and his cousin. And when his father realized that his son, the Buddha, was still alive, he was so angry that he put on his armor and went to fight on the battlefield. And he was an old man at this point, and he hugged Buddha. And at this point, Buddha didn't actually really allow anyone to hold him. Okay, and there's another story. But he held his father, and the two of them were crying. And then he let his father go on the battlefield. And his disciples said, "Why did you let him go? You believe in non-violence." And he said, "My father is a warrior. That's his dharma." And they said, "Why are you crying? You tell us everything is an illusion and that nothing is to be detached from everything." And his answer apparently was, "That is love." And that's a beautiful teaching, because although the Buddha was completely detached, he was still felt. It always makes me want to cry, that, because I think that's a beautiful story. He still felt the love, and he still I don't even know if I'm going to articulate it later, but I think you might have got it just from the story. Still in the world, you know what I mean, and allowing things to be.
Well, that's where that beautiful saying is, because yes, you need to live in this reality because this is where we are, but with that deeper knowing, we can be aware, like love. You know, I think it's easy to think when people say be detached, that we're not loving, that we're not in truth, but truth is truth, and love is the highest expression. So yeah, no, thank you. I'll stop now.
Yeah, detachment doesn't mean we don't care. Believe it or not, that the more you meditate and the more you actually do detach from the emotional pulls of the world, the more you actually grow in compassion naturally, the more you want to serve other beings, and you're serving other beings by being still and peaceful and reflecting the truth into the world. Anyone else want to share? Or
I just, sorry.
that's all right.
I don't know who the other lady was. Does she want to speak first?
It's okay,
Sure.
you go. It's fine.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just on
We'll go on
that,
to you. Sorry, who's that?
Josie,
Hello, mate. Yep.
okay, just on that last slide, I'm struggling to get my head around that. It's like all the hers and that. So you say the master keeps her mind always at one with Tao. Is that the master's mind or the Tao? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So who gives? So that is her radiance. So is that us who radiate, or does that make the Tao radiant?
Okay. So great question. Okay, your line's pretty distorted. So if I've missed something, please let me know. But what Lao Tzu, to my understanding, is trying to convey in this book, in this text, is what the sage, what the person who lives in harmony with the Tao looks like, because the very first chapter, the first line was, the Tao that can be told and comprehended by words and comprehended by thoughts is not the true or eternal Tao. So he's basically told us, as soon as it comes into words, it's not the Tao. I can't, we've lost it once we talk about it. But what he can do is share what it looks like when it's being lived by a sage. And the sage is fundamentally us. So if you've ever spent time around a true master, they stand out, okay? I often say, you know, true masters, they don't speak much, but you're drawn to them. There's a presence there, okay? They're so out of the drama and out of the everyday gossip that people go through and my busy mind, that something, a presence shines through them, okay? This is to my understanding and through my experience with my teacher, okay? So this is one way of explaining this. The master, meaning the person who has mastered themselves, is always at one with the Tao, and they are radiant. Her mind's always one with it because she doesn't cling to the world. Okay, this is me in my language. It makes her radiant because she lets it. She doesn't resist anything. She surrenders to the universal process. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. Basically, he's saying, if you want to find out what I'm talking about, go inside. And when I first was reading this, 12 years ago, when I first found spirituality, that used to frustrate me. I used to always think to myself, how do you go inside? And I always remember listening to Osho, and someone asked Osho the same question, and he nailed it. He basically said, going inside is to stop going outside. And that's beautiful. And that comes back to this. Every day we get on our phones, the second we open our eyes, and we try and gain insight or something, okay, from this world, your world, okay, and it just keeps us busy and in the world. I promise you, just try and come off technology for 10 days. And instead of reaching for your phone or reaching for something that's information, close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Even something as simple as that will change everything. Did that answer your questions, Josie? Was I on the right page there, or did I misunderstand it?
Oh, no, that's brilliant. No, thank you. I get that. And also with my, obviously, I'm very, very new to all this. So, the fact that you learning so much more about the heart space and the fact that we've got the neurotransmitters in our heart. So I'm trying to lead more with my heartfelt mind, if you want for a better word, than my actual head mind. So are they talking that in this as well, like your mind, or are they still talking brain mind? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Sorry.
No, it's good, because the Western world, and most of the world actually right now, does everything from this mind, okay? But in traditional Taoism, right, and science has caught up to this, because scientists have found that there's actual brain cells in the heart, and there's actual brain cells in the gut, okay? This is why we have gut feelings about things, and you should follow that. If you think about how many times, like we were playing cards the other night with my son, and I can't remember what the game was, but my son was getting frustrated with himself because he kept saying, I knew. My first intuition was to go ask you that, but then my mind come in and I was wrong, and his gut was always right. So Master Shah says, if you're going to do a soul communication with a sage, if you get a feeling straight away that you should connect with Mother Mary, right? And then when you go to do that, you think, you know what? I actually might connect with Guan Yin. He says, you've lost already, okay? That doesn't mean you won't be able to connect with Guan Yin, but it means Mother Mary was wanting to share something with you and you've missed it, okay? So it's the same in our life. In the Taoist tradition, in the ancient Taoists, if before they made a decision, there's a practice where you basically visualize gentle golden light in your head, gentle golden light go into your heart, go into your gut, your lower dantian, because there's 3 dantians, okay, which is golden light ball, lower, where we've just done, but not below the navel, heart, and there's the one in the head, the Zhu Chao and the third eye. We can talk about that in another session. So golden light, then golden light, then golden light in your lower abdomen, and then back here with the golden light and back here. And then whatever the whole body is feeling, you go with that. This means that you have 3 minds choosing, making the decision. It's a whole body intelligence rather than just this. You think about the world right now. Everybody is not listening to the body, eating foods they think the body needs at the times that they think the body should be eaten. And the body is basically saying, I don't want that. I'm bloated. I've got diarrhea. I'm constipated. I'm inflamed. But the mind just doesn't register any of that. It's just like, no, I've read in a book somewhere that I have to have this much protein at this time or whatever. You know what I mean? So you're right. Spend less time because it's not actually this mind. This mind's not bad, but it's a polarity organ. Okay, there's a left brain and a right brain. One is creative, one is analytical. This is why a lot of people, oh my gosh, I had the best business idea, right? And then they go, yeah, but when I think about setting it up, this could go wrong, that could go wrong, this, and then this just goes, fizzles out. Okay, loads of people have great ideas, and then when they think about all this dies off. So it's not a bad thing, but most people are not creative. They're lopsided, they're left brain, they're analyzing everything. So to come out of the head and into the heart is great, even into the gut. Like when I sing Love, Peace, Harmony, for example, I have one hand on my heart, one hand on my lower abdomen. And I breathe and focus on my lower abdomen, but I feel my heart. It's a very, very powerful practice. So just keep going with it, Josie. Just keep going. And they're good questions. I love questions.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Oh, thank you. Anyone else? Or are we good to carry on? Okay.
Hi, Nick. It's Judy.
Hello.
Good to see you back.
Yeah.
Mine's just more a comment on detachment. And I thank you very much just for the way you've worded around that tonight with the allowing and letting be. Many years ago, like over 40 years ago, I was looking into Buddhism, and detachment was the word and the concept that put me off looking any further. As you said, I related it to family. I didn't want to detach from family. And I've learned a lot through the Tao teachings, but tonight's the first time there hasn't still been some reaction to the word detachment, even though I've got a greater understanding of it. But just using those words tonight of allowing and letting be has, I think, let go of my reaction to that word, detachment. So thank you.
Oh, thank you and congratulations. But I'm just going to say something as well. You said, which was cool, you said, just by blah, 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 I'm able to let go of my view of attachment. But you're not letting that go. You're letting it be. So even your view of it or any resistance or the new outlook on it is let it be. It is what it is. It's just information. If it serves me, I'll use it. If it doesn't, I'll drop it. It's no problem. But thank you for sharing. That's congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, guys, we will go on to the next chapter. So if you want to close your eyes, you can, because it's always good to be in a meditative space. We'll try it. One hand on our heart, one hand on our lower abdomen. Feel the body. Breathe. Settle the breath. This chapter is a beautiful chapter. It's one of my favorites. It follows on from where we've just been talking, actually. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you truly be yourself. This is great. I love this because there's one of Master Sha, I think it was one of Master Sha's first disciples. He was, I've mentioned him a few times. He's a funny character. And I recommend his book, actually. His name's Dr. Peter Hadoba. He was a neurosurgeon. And he gave up everything. He was a top neurosurgeon in Canada. And when he met Master Sha, he gave up everything and followed his spiritual journey. And when I saw him once a few years ago, he said, I was always like the teacher who would turn up and I would sit cross-legged and I'd be straight back. And I'd be strict, dang, 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 dang. And he said, and now I just have fun. And he's like all relaxed on his chair. And he said the most spiritual movie ever made is Kung Fu Panda 1. Okay. He says Kung Fu Panda 1 is a beautiful story because he doesn't believe he's worthy to be anybody. He's fat. He's not fit. He's childlike. He's all these things that a master shouldn't be, or what he thought a master doesn't look like, or a true martial artist. And he ends up becoming who he is, who he becomes. And I like them movies myself, to be honest with you, even right the way through to the last one. There's a lot of beautiful messages in them movies. So it's like the most serious thing, seriously, the most serious thing in life is the spiritual journey. In Buddhism, they say, if you have health, you found a spiritual teacher, you've found the spiritual teaching they share in the true spiritual Dharma, you have an environment that allows you to practice the Dharma, right? These environmental manifestations show up once every kalpas. A kalpa is a time of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, eons of time. In Tibetan Buddhism, they say, if you were in the middle of the ocean and there was a toilet seat and a turtle just came up randomly and his head went through the toilet seat, that is the chances of having these conditions. So that's why they say once you find the Dharma, you find your spiritual path, you don't waste a second, okay? But I'm sharing it because there's a paradox in there, because it's the most serious thing we can do, right? But if you take it too serious, okay, you can get lost. You have to be able to have a sense of humor on the spiritual journey. You have to be light-hearted, okay? So if you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. And this is all coming back to detaching. You'll find a thread through this chapter of the difference between being attached to yourself and your journey and being open to nature and every possibility. So if you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. You want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. That is the Heart Sutra in Buddhism. In the Heart Sutra, and I've said this many times, but we can never hear this enough, you have a piece of blank paper. And we call it a blank paper. We put a label on it, a blank paper. The separate self-identity is a blank piece of paper. But if you look deep into it, it only exists where it is because of the tree it came from, the oceans, the rain, the clouds are in there, the sun's in there, the person who chopped it down, his ancestors, the people who made the tools he chopped it down. We can go on and on and on. So to be empty of a separate self-identity, we become full of everything else. This is detachment as well. You're actually detaching from the separate egoic self, the separate self. You're open to everything else. So if you want to become full, you let yourself be empty of a separate self. This is the Heart Sutra. This is a Tao text, but he's talking about the Buddhist Heart Sutra right there. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. How many people in life who've seemed to have challenging lives? First person that comes to mind is actually someone like David Icke. David Icke, his whole life crumbled, okay? And who he was, this ex-football player, BBC presenter, died. But he said it was the hardest time of his life. But when he came through it, it was the biggest blessing, because finally he was himself. He wasn't that old self. That old self died, and he wasn't trying to keep up a persona. The world knew who he was, and he's gone from strength to strength. Okay, sold out Wembley Arena and so on. So if you want to be reborn, you've got to let your ego die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. You think about it. If I'm clinging to my house, right? I want a big house. I want a car. I want 10 cars. I want 2 yachts. I want blah, 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 blah. It's so limited. I mean, look at how vast the cosmos is. It's so limited. It's child mindset. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. Don't own anything. Just be free. I'm not saying do this. I'm saying this is from the Taoist perspective, okay? The Taoist perspective is, people are going around fighting and taking people to court because they're stealing my gold, okay? Is that your gold? It's a precious metal that comes from the earth, and when you die, you're not going to take it with you. You see, it's to be given everything is to give everything up. Even mindsets, you might have a rigid mindset. This is how it is. But to actually allow anything to be, you open up to everything. You can be given everything by giving everything you know up. So you can all meditate on these and go deeper and get your own insights, obviously. The master, by residing in the Tao, which is being still, one with the Tao, with the source, sets an example for all beings. This is like what I said about the still reflection. Okay, no exaggeration. Is still present, quiet. Everyone's drawn to them. They don't know why. They're not saying much. There's just the presence there. So by residing in the Tao, sets an example of how, for all beings. I'm sorry to go all over the place, but another story just came to mind. Thich Nhat Hanh said, he shared a story of a boat where these pirates came on and everyone was panicking and what have you. And I won't go into that story. But he said, if there was one person who was able to stay calm, it would have set an example, and other people, it would have been contagious. Other people would have followed him, okay? And it may have been a very different situation. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. There's another chapter in this where he says, he who tries to shine dims his own light. We have all seen this, people who are trying to stand out, and they just, as I say, dim their own light. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. I love Eckhart Tolle once spoke about Jesus and Buddha and these enlightened people like Lao Tzu. And he said they were so normal, right, that they stood out. They stood out because they didn't have ego, because they weren't being the same as everybody else. It was their humility. You look at the term, I was reflecting on the term supernatural. We think supernatural means superhuman. Like we have these Tao abilities, we can see telepathy, and we can do all these spiritual things. But look what it's in the word. It's supernatural. It's just to be very natural. The Taoist, to sum up Taoism, is Tao Fa Ziran. Tao Fa Ziran means follow what is natural, follow nature's way. We are so far away from nature right now that we don't even know what it looks like to be supernatural. We have a pineal gland. That's the role of that in nature is to see the soul world. We should be able to see our transitioned loved ones when they leave the body. We are built that way. We are built to see spiritual fathers and mothers and different layers of consciousness and things like this. That is super natural. It's very natural. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. He's got nothing. He's not trying to get one over on anybody. He's not trying to gossip or bring anyone down. He's got nothing to prove. So people can trust his words. This is good as well. I spoke to a guy who was having challenges in the area. And I actually said to him, I said, people were accusing him of things. And I said, stop defending yourself. Stop defending yourself. And, you know, the ego attacks and defends, attacks and defends. Just step out of that. Everything else is just noise, okay? The sage has got nothing to prove, but people trust him because he's got nothing to prove. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him, okay? Doesn't know who he is, meaning, to my understanding, you may have a different insight on this, he doesn't know who he is because we don't fully know who we are. We don't know what we are. He doesn't, one thing he knows is he's not the separate self, okay? But he doesn't claim, I am this, okay? You know, if someone says to you, what are you? You know, I've heard people say, oh, I'm a manifestation of divine light. I am this, that, and the other. That's great. If you genuinely, you know, if that resonates with you, that's fine. But, you know, I've reflected on it. I actually don't know who I am. I'll be honest with you. And even in the Toltec tradition, the fifth agreement, the four agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, I really love that he said that. He often says, we don't know who we are, and that's okay. It's actually a massive step forward when we acknowledge that. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. It's present, no future goal in mind. I'm not saying don't have goals, okay? They can be very effective. But in this, what he's saying here is, he's fully present. He's succeeding because he's fully in the present moment. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they were not using empty phrases. Okay, we've just explained why. It's a true statement. It makes logical sense. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. Your true self, not your false self, not your egoic self. Your true essence. In Buddhism, the Buddha said one of the stages of enlightenment is Ming Xin Genshin. It's enlighten your heart to see your true self. There's it's pretty hard to get hold of, but if you can get hold of it, I would buy it. You can buy it off Master Sha's website. There's a video, a DVD, where Master Sha interviews his teacher, Master Guo. And there's so much wisdom in it. It's awesome. And he gets Master Guo to explain what the essence of Shulian is and Minxin Genshin. And he said, when you serve others, and it can be through universal meditation, it can be through dedicating hours a day to chanting for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? Putting yourself in service to others. He says, by serving selflessly, unconditionally, you will get to a point where you forget who you are. You forget your false self, right? Your ego. And at that point, you will meld, you will get Minxin Genshin, you will enlighten your heart to see your true self. And that true self is your true purpose in life, in nature. You look at a jigsaw puzzle, okay? Everything, every cell, everything in creation is like a piece in a grand jigsaw puzzle. This is why the ego is so detrimental. You look at a lot of teenagers now, they may all want to be like a certain pop star. It's like many pieces in this jigsaw puzzle trying to be the same piece. We will never complete the bigger picture, and they will never fulfill their place in this life, what they've come here to do. So it's very important that we reach Minxin Genshin. And Master Guo, who's Master Sha's teacher, says the best way to start is service shulian. Service shulian is the purification of the soul, heart, mind, and body, the purification practice, spiritual purification. Service shulian is purification practice by serving all sentient beings selflessly. So I'm sorry I went on a little bit there. If anyone has any questions, you can ask them now, and then we'll do a meditation. This is the last chapter. Cool.
Hi, Nick. It's Joseph.
Oh, sorry.
So I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of a book that I read years ago called The Monk Who Sold His Red Ferrari.
Yep. Yep.
It just triggered me. So I probably might have a little read of that again.
Yeah, I've read that book. It's a cool book. The sages of Savannah in that book always fascinated me. Okay.
Hey Nick, how you going?
Yeah, good.
It's Lucy here.
Hello.
Hi. So I mean, there's so much depth to this page 22 and all of the words that have been shown here. One of the things it's one of the things that for me is a really, really big challenge is if you want to be given everything, give up everything, right?
Yeah.
And that, that shows me personally, my attachment to, the material part of being human, if that makes sense. And I personally, speaking from my own experience, find the letting go of the attachment of what I want in terms of creation. Like I want to buy land, I want to build communities. I there's all these things that I want. It's material, but it's going to serve humanity. And then it's okay. How do I not having an attachment to that creation, even though it's a really beautiful thing that I'm wanting to create? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, to answer your question, and obviously there's many layers to it, and if anyone else wants to answer it, they can. But to give everything up doesn't mean we just give away our house and we give everything and say, okay, now we're going to get everything. That's basically not what it's saying here. It's we live in the world. We've gone over this tonight. We live in the world and we may have a favorite pair of glasses, and that's fine. Okay. We may have a watch that we really like, and that's fine. We should be able to enjoy our favorite Buddha statue, okay? Our house, it's very important to have a nice house if that's what you like, if you feel safe in your home and it's a good environment for meditation, because they all serve us, providing we're not too attached to them, okay? If you can be very grateful, I don't own this house that I'm in, okay? And it's a beautiful house in a beautiful location. And I'm very grateful I'm here. Now, if these guys wanted to paint this place pink and completely make it completely different, right? I'm still grateful there's a roof over my head. I've got no attachment to what they do with it. And I'm also aware of the law of yin yang. I mean, I could be homeless in this life, and that's cool. I'm okay with that as well. So it's give everything up is to just not be controlled by it. Because if you love your house and you appreciate it, right, you can absolutely love your house and be grateful for it. But if you get afraid of losing it, or you are, you worry over losing it, or there's a big attachment there, you don't own the house. The house is owning you now. The house has got you. You get what I'm saying? So
I do, yeah.
And in terms of manifesting things and saying, I want land for other people, when you have that feeling,
well, it's not really for other people, it's for me.
even just to serve, okay? If it's going to serve you, it's going to serve your family, you might be able to grow food for your neighbor, that's all good.
Sure.
That's okay. It's what I would suggest is when you're speaking to life, when you're speaking to your spiritual God, whatever it is, right? It's like when I offer a blessing, or when my teacher offers a blessing, he says, bigger the expectation, less results. The less the expectation, bigger results. That, to me, my understanding of that teaching is it depends on your level of gratitude. If when you're speaking to God, let's say, or you're meditating and you say, I am so grateful for what I've got right now, and I'm happy, but I would love land. Right? I would love land in the right place, see it, feel like you're already there, and be grateful for it, for the experience. I would love that, but I'm cool no matter what. I'm grateful as I am, and then let it go. Let it go, because otherwise the attachment limits it and we push it away. I shared the story when Master Shah taught about his students. Every time he saw his students spill water, they'd complain. And he said, I'm sick of telling my students, when you spill water, you bow down and thank heaven because it's a blessing from heaven. That day, like on the retreat, Bo, when he was a baby, spilled water all over the table. And I bowed down. I said, thank you for the financial blessing. And then I forgot about it. That night, I walked my dog and my mum phoned me. And I got a letter in the post, and my mum opened it. I said, open it. And it was £700, which is like $1,400 at the time, from where I've paid too much tax in like 2006. Now, the reason why that was so powerful for me was, if I'd have clung to, I'm going to get a financial blessing now, my limited mind would have said, I think it's going to come from here, or it's going to come from here, or I might get a job on the weekend. Look at the vastness of creation and we're limiting where it can come from. And basically by doing that, we're pushing it away. So by surrendering and opening it up and not expecting anything and being grateful whether it comes or not, you're opening yourself up to a far greater opportunity for blessing. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes so much sense. Yeah, I totally understand and get it. Yeah, it's so funny. Like tonight's learnings are, I mean, this happens every week, admittedly, it's so on point for what I'm experiencing. So, it's quite interesting actually to observe that. Yeah, really cool.
That's synchronicity. That's synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
And it means you're on the right path.
Yes.
It means we're all on the right path. Another thing I'll just add, my Buddhist teacher, she said to me, like in Tibetan Buddhism, let's say I love this watch. I really like this watch. I can enjoy it and I love it. But let's say I met a homeless guy tomorrow and he said, can I have that watch? Okay. I would say, yeah, you can have the watch. And I would not think of it again. But if I gave him that watch because I feel like I should be detached from it, but then all day I'm thinking, man, I'm going to have to buy another watch. I love that watch. It was a waste of time. You shouldn't have given it away. Okay?
Yeah, should have kept the damn watch.
You're not ready for it. Okay. And it's actually creating more negativity. So everything on the spiritual journey, baby steps. One day I might give a house away, but it's got to start by me giving a watch away. You get me?
Yeah, I really do. I really do understand what you're saying. It's just so deep, and it makes complete sense. And I can feel that right throughout my body, what you're saying. And Yeah, it lights me up. Thank you. Thank you
No,
so
thank
much.
you. Thanks for the questions, okay? Questions. My Buddhist teacher, I ask so many questions, right? And my Buddhist teacher said to me, spiritually speaking, if I share, because I asked the question about masters who have a lot of wisdom to share, that they don't share it, right? Because in ancient time, they'd make their disciples wait 30 years before they shared any wisdom, and some of them had died before they shared their wisdom, right? And I said to my Buddhist teacher, would they get karma for that? Because they've kept the wisdom that could have helped others? And she said, not necessarily, because if I share information with you guys that's too far, right? Or a spiritual teacher teaches something to me that's the gradient's too steep, I can't wrap my head around it, or it can make me go the other way. It can actually push me away from my spiritual path. Therefore, the reason why questions are so important is because if somebody asks a question, you don't necessarily have to give them the full answer, but they're ready for an answer on some level. Now, any question that gets asked in this group tonight, like everyone who's on the line, for some reason, their karma, whatever, is ready at some point, some part in their journey, they're ready for the answer. Like you look at Alison sent me a message and I couldn't, just before I was coming live, and I couldn't reply to it because I was going live. And I said, I'll answer your message after I finish this live session. Here's the Zoom link if you want to get on. And she got on, which I'm very grateful she did. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's a coincidence. I just think that's beyond me. There's a spiritual reason for that. She may never get on another one again, and that's totally fine. She might not like it, but she's here for a reason anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying, I do like it. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like you know, it kind of makes me think of the amount of time you can listen to a lot of learnings or educate yourself and you know, different whatchamacallit, I can't think of the right words, you know, let's just call it trainings and learnings and what have you, and you can listen to it 1,000 times and then just one day it suddenly lands with you and it's like, oh, I get it now. And even though you've listened to it all those other times, it's like the time for it to, you know, it's what you're saying there, Nick, where, you know, what your teacher said, when someone doesn't, when a teacher doesn't share their wisdom before they pass on, and your teacher's response was that, you know, it could be too far ahead, and that's what I'm trying to explain here with my personal journey. When I listen to information, I might listen to it 1,000 times and it doesn't really make any sense, and then when I listen to it that 1,001 time, it's like, oh my God, I get it now. And then there's just so many levels and depths to that information, which is what I find is happening in the teachings with you. Yeah.
Awesome. That's nice to know. But it's also spiritual endurance, okay? Like I know my karmic pattern, and it's actually changed, believe it or not. But in the early days, like the first maybe 7 years, I knew that I would always do my meditation. There's one thing I've been very diligent on since day one, is I've always meditated. And what I'd find was I'd have massive breakthrough and then I'd plateau for ages. I mean, sometimes back in the day, I'd meditate, and from the second I sat down till I stood up an hour later, I didn't enjoy any of it. It was a grind. I'm just chanting the mantra. My mind's all over the place. But I knew my karmic pattern, okay, my cycle. I would plateau and I would just keep going. And then I'd have a massive breakthrough of insight or experience or spiritual message or image or something like that. And this is spiritual endurance. This is actually what the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, represents. I saw a statue of the Buddha once, and it was him as a skeleton. Like literally his skin was just stuck to his bone and his rib cage is sticking out. And I was with my dad. My dad's Catholic. He doesn't really get much of Buddhism. And he was like, whoa, what is that statue for? Who's that? And I said, that's Buddha. And he said, why is it like that? And I said, it represents spiritual endurance, because the Buddha nearly died. He nearly killed himself. He punished himself for the first, I don't know whether, some people say 6 years, some people say 11 years of his spiritual journey. He was literally trying to punish the body to free the soul from the body. And he got to a point where he nearly died. He was literally a skeleton. And then he had an insight, and there's many different stories of this, but apparently he heard someone play an instrument. And the insight he got was, if the strings on the instrument are too tight, it wouldn't sound right. If they were too loose, it wouldn't sound right. It has to be in balance. And he said, I've punished myself for this many years. I'm no closer to enlightenment. He actually was, because he learned a high level of detachment for the physical body. But with that, he then went and strengthened his body. My Master Shah just shared another insight, a cool teaching on that same story, because a young girl comes and offers him like a milk, like a rice pudding type of thing in India, like a milk, and he says no. And the young girl turns around and says, how are you going to reach enlightenment if you're dead? And he got an insight. He was like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. So he started accepting her help and regained his strength. And then his spiritual practice actually went through the roof. So spiritual endurance is very important. It's so easy. Like, you wake up, you haven't slept all night. You know, it's cold outside. How many excuses do we have to not get up and do our meditation in the morning? Let's say you meditate in the morning. But you will always get benefits if you just say, I'm getting up, because it's not about me. This is why we have vows that are bigger than ourselves. I, the separate self, cold, tired, can't be bothered, but I'm not doing it for me. If I can go and sit down for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours and chant for the benefit of all sentient beings, you will get empowered beyond your limited self. So.
That's very beautiful. Can I just say one more thing? And I mentioned this in our group already, just with regards to my practice, my routine, and it kind of, you know, goes on to like what you've just covered now, actually. But I find, so my personal spiritual karma, let's call it, is that I, you know, like you, go in and out of my practices, and this is yet another case of being out of my practice. And my way, I don't do the endurance thing. I don't sit in there for an hour or two minutes or whatever it is and force myself to do it, because I find that to be extremely unenjoyable, right? And so I won't endure that, and I won't put myself through that. But rather, what I will do personally, and this is my pattern, is that I just allow it. I just allow it and let it be. And then when I am ready to reapply my practice, I always find I'm at another level, you know, a deeper level. And so I feel like, in relation to what you've just said, there's a yin and yang here of how both of our practices, and yet we've got the same end result.
No, yeah? I'm with you. I actually do more of that approach now. But in the early days, because I came from like a training background, like I've always trained very hard. I used to, you know, I wouldn't leave the gym until I'd either nearly fainted or had vomited. Literally, I used to train so hard. And even when I came to Australia, I used to do CrossFit and things like that. And I used to lie down on the living room floor, and I'd have like these blood blisters under my skin because I just pushed my body so hard. And Danielle, my wife, who's completely yin, she was just like, why do you do that to yourself? And so I came from like a physical training background. So when I found meditation, I was very yang, I was very extreme. I was doing like 5 hours meditation a day. And I still do stand, but now I'm not, there is more balance in my life right now. I know I can pick it up maybe different times in the day. And I like meditating in nature, like going to different locations or something in between jobs or something like that. But at the same time, I do believe, I do stand by this. If you are really getting tested spiritually, or you're feeling depressed or sad, if you can find an hour to be away from everyone, it's very different if you can't do that. But if you can, if you were to chant out loud, a yang practice, chant divine love, that divine forgiveness, divine compassion, divine light, or love, peace, harmony, or just really chant a mantra for an hour, you will stand up and leave that space a different person. You really will. It is very, very powerful. And this is, you know, Master Guo, Master Sha's teacher, was always, he had a cell theory, a body space theory. Fundamentally, that theory is everything has its own field, okay? A cell has a field, an organ has a field, systems have a collective field, okay? Now, Master Sha's moved that now into like a quantum physics model, which is basically everything has a field, and that field is made of Shen, Qi, and Jing. Information, energy, and matter. Even the information is made of energy and matter. The energy is made of information and matter. The matter is made of energy and information. This is the oneness concept. So basically, if our field, the information, energy, and matter in our field is off because a karma is manifested or challenges came into our life, we can call on the field, an essence, the Shen Qi Jing, let's say, of Buddha, right, or of Jesus. We can chant their name and ask for help. And literally their field can transform our field. Their information, energy, and matter can change our information, energy, and matter. So this is the power of training. Some people like to go to the gym. Some people feel stressed. They go to the gym and they move things in their body by lifting weights and they feel better. You can, I find if you go and sit down and chant divine love for an hour or chant a sacred mantra for an hour, I definitely stand up at this, I come away from that a different person. So.
And thank you, Nick. And I'll just finish by saying, I know you can't see me, but I'm actually nodding yes and everything that you're saying here and what you're sharing here. But yeah, exactly that. What you just said there. And when I have gone personally through, when I am going personally through some challenging times, I have applied the practice of what you've just said, you know, the Shen Qi Jing, you know, for another, and putting that energy out there, putting the love energy out there for another and serving another. And for me personally, although the practice doesn't lift me out of the the challenge, I'm just one of these hard nuts. I'll just have it'll. I've got to. I feel like I've got to go through. How do I say this? More. I don't know, my experiences are amplified and I've got to, it's almost like I'm punishing myself. It's hard, it's not, I'm not doing it purposely, but it's like I've got to go through the depth of the challenge and the experience of, let's call it trauma at any given moment, and really go through the motions of feeling all of that. And then when I'm going through the practice of giving love and service to putting it out there outside of myself. It takes a number of practices for me to have my vibration lift, and it's not just done or had in one practice for me personally.
No, that makes sense, but also don't attach to that's how it'll always be.
Yeah.
Let it go. Right now that works, and that's totally fine. That's cool. But also be open to the fact that it can change at any moment.
Yes, it could transform and change. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because another thing as well is like when we say, and I know everyone does this, but like, I think he said something like, I have to punish myself or something like that. There's always that question, who is I and who is myself? Who is the I that's punishing the self? There's not two of us, there's only one of us, okay? And that insight can actually deepen your understanding to why you actually feel you have to do that. What is trying to survive? And most of the time, it's the false self that's trying to survive by making you think that you have to punish the self, because the ego needs time to survive, okay? It needs time, either something happening in the future, something happening in the past. And problems or some type of suffering is its food, or some type of drama is its food. So just something to think about, okay?
Yeah, no, great, beautiful, and right on point again. All right, lovely, thank you.
Thank you for sharing, I appreciate that. Should we do a little meditation? This meditation is a beautiful mantra, okay? And what I'm going to ask everyone to do, so we get into a meditative condition now. So I ask everyone to get comfortable, mute yourselves. Everyone muted? Yep. Get comfortable, close your eyes. Focus your awareness on your breath. Hand on your heart, hand on your lower abdomen. We invoke the soul world. We've already invoked the soul world. Soul world's here, right? So the divine, we just see them, use mind power. So see God, see Tao, your teacher, all the Buddhas, everything. And this is going to be a surrender practice. And I explain what I mean by a surrender practice. The mantra is the most simple mantra. The mantra is, I love you. And I'm going to play it by my teacher. How the surrender aspect comes in is, I'm going to switch myself off. You're just going to hear the mantra. But this is what I'm going to invite you to do. At first, you're going to allow yourself to be loved. So hear Master Sha sing that he loves you and accept his love. And also see all of our spiritual fathers and mothers singing I love you to you. And have it, accept it, surrender, and let the love of all the Buddhas, Jesus, all the holy saints, all the Taoist saints, everything, nature, let them sing I love you to you. Then when you feel ready, instead of just singing I love you to all beings, this is an invocation, right? So all of you repeat this after me. Dear all of the soul world, please show me and allow me to see what I need to offer love to. Now, why this is a surrender is because you might have an image of somebody that has deeply hurt you before. We're going to surrender. We're not going to react. We're going to surrender and sing silently or out loud, I love you to the soul. It might be a news article or a news video that you've seen on the telly that was very sad or detrimental. You're going to just give love to it. I love you. It might be something you love. It might be your son. My son's sitting next to me now. It might be your son. It might be your mum. I love you. But we're not consciously choosing who we sing to. We're letting the soul world show us. So whatever comes into our awareness, we just sing, I love you, okay? And we're going to see light everywhere. You guys hear me?
I love you. 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 love you. I 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 love you.
Now consciously think of what we can be grateful for and what we can love. We can be grateful and give our love to anything. It can be the tires on our car for giving us grip. It could be a smile someone gave us. Open your scope a little bit more now to whether it's your whole garden, every blade of grass in your garden, whether it's all of humanity. Just say, I love you. I love you. Every one of your ancestors, I love you. Any transitioned loved ones, ancestors that are no longer with us in the physical world, animals and pets, thank you for the time we spent together. I love you. Thank you to anyone that's ever hurt me. I love you. Thank you for all my challenges. I love you. Thank you for all my blessings. I love you. I often play this mantra when I'm driving. And if there's someone riding a bike, I just chant it to him or her, I love you. Someone drives past me in a car, I love you. I just chant, and everything I see, I give love. I say I love you too. It's a very beautiful practice. I love every one of you. I'm very grateful that we're together in these groups. I really appreciate it. I get probably more than you do out of this. I get so much from these groups. And don't forget to say, I love you to God. Love God. Love your body, your mind. Love your negative mindsets. Instead of resisting them all the time, it's a very different experience if you have a negative thought and you just say, I love you, and let it go. Love your heart, your systems, your organs. I love you. Dear God, our spiritual fathers and mothers, I love you. I don't expect anything back. I just want to love you. I just want to love all beings. Is that a beautiful place to be? It's a beautiful place to be. And in this state of love, we will just reflect on this next week is the condition is Da Fu Wu, which is greater service, and it's the throat chakra. So be aware of what we speak. This is a beautiful mantra for the week. If you're singing I love you all week, you're serving. But let's embody this week the condition of selfless, unconditional service. And we'll take a few deep breaths. If you need to have a stretch or move your arms or whatever you need to do, you can do that and take as long as you need to come around. If you feel like opening your eyes, you can. If you feel like you want to stay in the condition, even when we close this Zoom link, you can stay in meditation. That's cool. I don't know if I'm going to be able to upload this straight away to YouTube because unexpectedly I got a YouTube ban today. So I think I've got like a 7-day ban for the last video I uploaded, which was on cayenne pepper and how ivermectin works in the body. But if I can get it up, I will get it up. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, everyone. I love you too. I love you all. We'll put our hands in the traditional prayer position, and we'll say how means perfect. Thank you to each other, to this opportunity, to all those involved, all the great masters and all the spiritual fathers and mothers. We love you, give our love. We say gong song. Gong song means respectfully return. And I'll see you all next week. That was a long one. Anyone that's new, we usually wrap up about 8:30, but there was a lot got shared tonight. So it can be a bit of information overload, I'm aware of that. But I enjoyed tonight. I needed that. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely week. And on Messenger or email or any way you want to get a hold of me, if you need anything, just let me know. Ask any questions, or you want a blessing, I can offer you a blessing or whatever. Just let me know. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nick. Lots of love to you and everyone.
Yeah, lots of love, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Have a lovely week. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Nick.
you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
We look